Welcome back, everyone. This is Thomas Triple T Tie with another new bullish crypto analysis. Before we dig in and take a look at the macro news that may impact the markets around the world and also crypto, remember this is for edutainment only and not to be considered as financial advice. Additionally, I would appreciate if you could help spread my analysis, which are pretty easy to understand, to help others make more informed decisions on their investments in crypto. And you can do that by smashing the like, smash it really hard, ring my bell, and hit subscribe if you haven't. And also share your thoughts and comments in the comment section. That will help with the YouTube algorithm. So with that, let's dig into the macro news. We have, according to CNBC, stock making the biggest moves, pre-market, Target, Walmart, Carrier Global, and others. Notably, Target plummeted 22.1% in the pre-market after the retailer reported an adjusted quarterly profit of $2.19 profit of $2.19 per share. That's well below its 3.07. That's a big difference. Consensus estimate. Walmart also tanked, and if you watch my earlier trend analysis on the market, you see that both dropped significantly. Target actually dropped more than 22%. Here it is, more Target news. So I won't go into this. I'll just skip it. But what this one talked about is basically this plunge of 25% could be its worst day since 1987. Crazy times. I won't read the news source since if it's displayed just to save us some time. CEO outlook dims sharply with more than half expecting a recession ahead, survey shows. And typically this kind of survey where more than half say that they're expecting something to change, it's pretty bearish. So here are the key points. A conference board measure of CEO sentiment showed that 57% expect the economy to sustain a very short, mild recession. I think that's realistic. I think at the very least, it's a mild recession. Just 14% of CEOs reported that business conditions had improved in Q2, down from 34% in the first quarter, similar to 61% said conditions were worse. Investment advisor Alliance Global Investors U.S. charged with $5 billion in fraud. Well, look at that. A traditional finance company charged with fraud. What a surprise. Let's take a look at the key points. Investors lost over $5 billion when COVID-induced market collapse crushed private investment funds linked to Alliance Global Investors U.S., according to authorities. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said criminal charges were brought in part because the company failed to review an egregious, long-running, and expensive fraud before the Securities and Exchange Commission discovered it. Think about it. If you're a big, giant corporation and you have committed some egregious, long-running, expensive fraud, would you volunteer and say, hey, we committed some bad fraud? No. They're more likely going to wait and see if it's discovered and try to see if they can get away with it. So, oh, goodness. So far we've had several banks and traditional institutions just within this year been charged with some kind of or penalized for some kind of offense that's either criminal, cheating, or in this case, a fraud. Investors pile cash at the biggest, this is according to Kitco, investors stockpile cash at the highest level in 2 decades, according to a B of A survey. Well, why are they piling on cash or holding or cashing out and holding on to cash? Because they don't know what's going to happen with the economy. They don't the stock market's tanking, crypto is tanking. They're just holding on to their reserve, which is smart because if you want to buy near the bottom or at the bottom, and that's how wealth is made. So good for a lot of consumers. Good for them. And I believe this was there was a pretty interesting date on here. I'm trying to find it here. Oh yeah, here it is. The survey pointed out that fund managers were extremely bearish in May, with cash levels among investors jumping to the highest level since September 2001. So we're looking at over 20 years. Cash holding decreased from 6.1% to 5.5% reported in the previous month. Increase. Did I say decrease? It's increased. Wells Fargo sees end-of-year U.S. recession, cuts GDP view, and they are coming in after other banks have called for an increase in potential of a recession. So now Wells Fargo is joining the wagon. Oh, did you notice that little what is that? Wells Fargo logo is the stagecoach wagon. That's kind of cool, huh? Yeah. Okay, let's move on. So they're predicting recession now on the horizon in its base case scenario at the end of 2022 and early 2023. Okay, I'm on board with that. I'm on the stagecoach with that, making it one of the more bearish big U.S. banks predictions. Goldman Sachs, by comparison, recently calculated the odds of a recession at 15% for next year and 35% for the next 2 years. And Morgan Stanley, latest research shows a 25% probability of a recession starting in the next 12 months. Okay, so basically, they're all predicting some percentage of recession. But Wells Fargo seems to be a little bit more aggressive than others. By the way, Wells Fargo is not known to be aggressive, with exception of sales. At least in previous years. Maybe they don't have sales anymore, but according to CNN Business, California $6 gas could spread nationwide. It's already spreading nationwide. JP Morgan warns. The average price for gasoline in California hit $6 a gallon Tuesday for the first time. And it's an analysis at JP Morgan are warning the price could be the national average before the end of the summer. Think about it. Summer, guess what people do? People are going to travel. In fact, I have a trip coming up with my girlfriend. It is a road trip. And so with inflation, people are already hurt from inflation. With energy and gas prices going up, that's going to put a bigger dent in people's pockets. And bank accounts, and so not good for inflation. So, things are still building up. We're not anywhere near the end of this inflation ordeal. FDA obliterates formula makers' defense on contamination linked to baby formula, baby deaths. So, if you don't know this story, I mentioned part of this yesterday, but basically this. A baby formula maker Abbott continues to firmly deny that its infant formula sickened 4 babies and killed 2. The denial is despite the same dangerous bacteria that sicken infants. Chronobacter Sakazaki. Sounds like some kind of Japanese food or something, but it's not. I'm joking. But anyways, this company is their factory is in Sturgis, Michigan, and they deny that the filth or the contamination in their factory caused this. But yet, the same bacteria was found in different the different container. Deny. That's what lawyers tell their clients, unless even for some with overwhelming evidence. Anyways, Abbott is one of the big producers for baby formula. Without them, there's already national shortages of baby formula. So Let's see how this situation turns out. PM. Good branding there, buddy. This is from the postmillennial.com website. Okay. We were just talking about gas price. And here it is. Washington gas stations run out of gas at extra digit in anticipation of $10 prices. So no, not just California. Already happening all around. A recession could tank the value of the dollar, Goldman Sachs says. So basically, if you've been following my analysis, I take a look at the Dixie almost on the daily, and the dollar is in its high range right now, and a recession could pull it down. Why is this important? If you notice, when the dollar goes up, it has a negative correlation with crypto, and dollar goes up, crypto goes down. What if dollar goes down? Think about it. We have a recession and the dollar goes down. What happens to crypto? I'm curious. According to Wolf Street, but then again, a recession impacts many parts of the market. So it's so interesting to see how that would play out. If the dollar is gonna drop that much, as they predict. According to Wolf Street, housing bubble getting ready to pop. Mortgage applications plunge amid holy moly mortgage rates, croaking stocks, ridiculous home prices. Dang, who came up with this title? It's long, but it's got a lot of poppy words. So basically, if the housing market pops like it did prior in the previous period, like I think it was 2008 or so, that was the financial housing market crash there. That could impact the economy. So just keep an eye out on the housing market. Recent 30-year fixed mortgage rate, I think it climbed to 5 point something here, 5.49. And the other thing is, some people are starting to look at variable interest rate, variable mortgage rates. Don't do that. That's crazy, because what happens with those variable is it's not fixed. It could go up as like really high, and you could be way upside down on your house. So please don't do that. Not financial advice. U.S. considering move to block Russian debt payments, according to the Treasury. And the U.S. made some exceptions recently to allow Russia to continue to make its payment. But if they do block it, what's going to happen is going to hurt the bondholders, like individual or corporate bondholders. And so let's see what happens when they do this. And this is another way for them to hurt Russia. Russia secretly mobilizing military as Kremlin fears conscription backlash. Let's take a look at what it's saying. Authorities in Russia are engaged in a covert mobilization campaign after speculation that President Vladimir Putin would use Victory Day celebration last week to announce mass mobilization came to nothing. So the difference between what's happening now and if he was to declare a formal war is that right now they can't force people to enlist, okay? But if they declare a formal war, then yes, they can force, quote unquote, force people into the military to go fight ridiculous, evil, criminal war. So, but they are increasing their efforts on like recruiting sites, websites and stuff to enroll more people. Don't do it if you're Russian and you are, you thinking about doing it. Don't do it. Just don't do it. A third of them, their troops have been killed, and you won't have food to eat. you not even dry food to eat, and so. And fighting a war for what? What's the end game? wouldn't you rather spend that time with your family? So if you're Russian, don't go fight the war. Better yet, you can join the war on the Ukraine side and help them. Probably better. Whoa, what happened there, buddy? U.S. opens. Oh, this is not what I want. What happened here? Oh, let's go with this. It's all right. This one right here. Russian soldier pleads guilty at first war crimes trial in Ukraine, and U.S. reopens embassy in Kyiv. So basically, this article talked about this soldier. He pled guilty and said that he did kill civilians when he was enrolled. He's only 21. Think about it. Like, if you're 21 and you go fight for a war that's has no purpose, for what? So you can kill people? For what? What do you get out of it? Yeah, 21 is so young. You have so many years ahead of you to do amazing things. Don't go fight some idiot's war. Don't do it. Go have fun. Play with your friends. Play some sports. Go date some girls. Okay? All right. The whole world is against us. A Russian military analyst gives damning assessment of Ukraine war on state TV. If you don't already know, Russia, like other communist countries, they control their media, be it print, like TV or streaming or the internet. They control it. Anyways, this analyst, actually, he's pretty famous. He went on TV and said, that's what he said. The world is against us. And he gave an assessment of what's going on in Ukraine. He was, let me find his name. Let's go through the key points first. I'm just going to skip the censor stuff because that's what they do. Voices critical to the Kremlin or the invasions are barely heard. Most commentators publicly supportive of the war because they have to. Otherwise, they end up with poison in their underwear, or they end up in Siberia or some kind of prison. But one well-known military analyst and veteran has stood out this week after he appeared on state TV and gave them an assessment of the invasion, or what Russia calls special military operation. And this gentleman's name is, he's a colonel. Here he is. Mikhail Kodaryonok. Dude, I so butcher that. He's a retired Russian army colonel, and he told 60 Minutes on a show. Let me quote some of what he said. Let's go. You should not, quote, you should not swallow information tranquilizers, unquote. Kodaryonok told the host, as he warns that Ukraine was in nowhere near being beaten by Russia, and that Kyiv could mobilize and arm millions of people if it wanted to. True, it can, and it's doing a fantastic job of defending itself with less weapon and less military personnel too. Where's that part? This is rare. This is unusual and it's rare because he also was one of the people that advised against, starting a war in any of the neighboring countries, especially Ukraine. So really extraordinary that he was able to voice his opinion, and this was aired on public censored TV over there. People think over there, most of them think that like Russia is on the right side of history on this invasion, and whatever propaganda is fed to them, they believe it. Crazy, huh? We're given a brain for a reason. But some choose just to be fed information instead. According to Reuters, Google's Russian subsidiary to file for bankruptcy after bank account seized. So, Russia warned Google to not censor, or because Google along with other tech companies, censor some of the misinformation channels and accounts that were feeding these misinformation out into the world. They censor it. Russia said, "Hey, we want our accounts back, and don't censor us, even though we are telling lies to the world." And so they didn't cave in. So Russia seized their bank account. So now Russia, they are known thieves. They've stolen tractors, commodities, rape women, rape teenage girls, and you just add a whole list of things that Russians are well known for. Now stealing corporations' money. Whew, Russia. Wow. All right. According to Reuters, Yellen calls on U.S. European allies to confront China together. Why would they want to do this? So basically, here's U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen stepped up her criticism of China's economic and trade practices on Tuesday, calling on the United States and its allies in Europe to band together to challenge Beijing and diversify supply chains. So, if China, the West has accused China of trade imbalances for decades. So this is nothing new. And China's trade practices help China, but really doesn't help anyone else. Believe it or not. Can you believe that? And so they want to band together. I think she's using the situation with what's happening with the United Front in the West, with NATO and all that stuff, to step up and band together to fight China's trade. I think that's a lot of talk, and I think they need to do something about it. I think, because think about this: if China can, makes the trade favorable to them, they get more benefit, they get more money, and build up the military, build up their economy, build up their developments and over there. While the others, the West or the other countries, don't have the same opportunity. So they take their wealth, they go buy land or like properties or investments in other countries. See that? And then they build up the military too. So Japan. So when you buy like stuff or be so dependent on goods and services from China, think about that for a second. And China could very well be the next Russia, and Taiwan, Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan, China, those islands in this South China Sea. According to Al Jazeera, Japan's Q1 GDP shrink as the Ukraine cost of living cloud outlook. By the way, Japan's, let me magnify this up. Japan's GDP, I think most developing countries' GDP will shrink. I think that's a given. But what Japan has done really well is that it's maintained its inflation. And so they're in it, they're like other countries in a tough position, but inflation, they're doing a pretty good job of maintaining it. So let's take a look here. Japan's economy shrank for the first time in two quarters in the initial 3 months of the year as COVID-19 curbs hit the service sector, and the Ukraine war and surging commodity prices created new headaches for consumers and businesses. The declines represent a challenge for Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, drives to achieve growth and wealth distribution under his new capitalism agenda, stroking fears of stagflation, a mix of tepid growth and rising inflation. Japan is the world's third largest economy, so that's why we want to pay attention to Japan. Because what happens in Japan can impact the U.S. and the rest of the developing countries and the rest of the world. Let's put it that way. UK inflation hits 40-year high of 9%. So the U.S. is not the only country hitting 40-year high, you know. So UK inflation is gonna I'm gonna keep talking about inflation, and because it impacts the economy, which impacts the investment world. Europe plans to spend $221 billion to ditch Russia's energy. And I've been covering this for quite some time now. So let's continue with it. So they're planning to wean off of Russian energy by, here's the timeline here. Let's see. This includes gas, natural gas, and oil. So presenting the Rep Power EU plan on Wednesday. That's a horrible name. The European Union said that it would attempt to slash consumption of Russian gas across the bloc by 66% by the end of the year. That's significant because the end of the year is only 7 months away. That's a pretty aggressive goal there, and break its dependence completely before 2027. Good for them. I think the world should just be less dependent on Russia for everything. CNBC Watch Live, let's see, blah, blah, blah. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. So one of the areas I cover is COVID, because COVID impacts employment, COVID impacts families, COVID impacts the economy and investments. So there is a continued spike in hospitalization and increasing cases. So the U.S. health officials are meeting to figure out what to do next. So stay tuned on that. When cases increase and hospitalization and death rates don't go up, that we don't want people to be infected, first of all. But if they do get infected, we want to make sure that hospitalization and death rates remain really low. If better yet, zero. But low is good. It's better than extremely high hospitalization and death rate. So something to keep an eye on. NATO talks with Finland, Sweden falter, but will continue. And this basically has to do with them trying to expedite their Finland and Sweden's membership to NATO. But Turkey is standing in the way. That Turkey? Okay. There's another article I'll dive slightly into deeper on why Turkey is resisting. Oh, here it is. Look at that. Why is Turkey causing problems for Finland and Sweden's plan to join NATO? I'll give you the summary of this. President I'm just going to use his last name. President Erdogan said blah, 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 using like, oh, yeah, those two countries are they're guest houses of terror organizations, and that but I think that's just smokescreen. What he really wants is that he has not been able to build relationship with the U.S. with President Biden, and so I think he's using that as leverage, just get people to come to the table, give him some love, and then I think that's what he's waiting for. This article goes into it a little bit more, but I'm not going to do that because we are well beyond our time here. Bitmex launches spot crypto exchange following $30 million penalty. Oh man, the interesting thing about the crypto exchanges or equities exchanges is that no matter what happens in the market, they always make money. They make money when you sell. They make money when you buy. And they make money when you leave your stuff on, your money or coins on their exchanges. So pretty cool to be the middleman, huh? So Bitmex they're known for as a crypto exchange for futures trading, but now they're getting into spot trading too, and they are supporting a few a handful of 7 pairs of cryptocurrencies, including BTC, ETH, Link, Uni, Matic, Axes, and Ape. Ape. All trading against USDT. The USDT is the stablecoin that has been unpegged since May the 6th, I believe. When USDT collapses, you make sure you don't hold your USDT unless you have to. A16Z, they published a new article, and you might want to give it a read. They have a summary version, and go give pop up the link for you to see here, right there. So go check it out, a16zcrypto.com. It's called State of Crypto Report. Right here. Basically, they give you a rundown of 5 key takeaways. Number 1, we're in the middle of a 4th price innovation cycle, and they give you the price innovation cycles: price, interest, new ideas, startup, and projects. Number 2, Web3 is much, much better for creators than Web 2. Totally agree. Number 3, crypto is having a real-world impact. DeFi would represent the 31st largest U.S. bank by total asset under management. No surprise there. 4, Ethereum is the clear leader but faces competition. And they showed a list of competitors. Ethereum here, you got Avalanche, Bitcoin, Binance, Smart Chain, Cardano, Celo, Phantom, etc., etc. Number 5, yes, it's still early. Yep, it's 2022. Bitcoin has been around since 2009. But yep, still early. Still developing, still crashing, still pumping. What a good time to be in crypto, right? South Korean authorities commence probe into Terra crisis. Takeaways. Let's magnify it so you can see it. Per local media reports, 2 South Korean financial regulator agencies have launched emergency investigation into local crypto exchanges. The probe reportedly came in response to Terra's collapse that ensued last week. Separately, a South Korean ruling party and parliament member, Young Chang-hoon, has urged a parliamentary hearing on the incident, calling Do Kwon as a witness. You know what's interesting about these is I wonder if these politicians actually know that Do Kwon was warned several times about the weaknesses between Luna and UST, and he called those critics dumb or other labels or other negative names. So in my opinion, that's negligence. Knowing something and not doing something about it is negligence. So I hope they find a 6x8 cell or maybe 4x2 cell for him. Terraform Labs legal team resigned after UST collapse. If you were a lawyer for Terraform Labs, would you run? I would. Think about it. They should know, if they're lawyers for Terraform Labs, they should know about the negligence that was taking place. And for them to wait until the crash to leave says a lot. So now Terraform Lab is seeking outside help, legal counsel. Aave launches decentralized NFT-based Twitter rival on Polygon. And this was announced a while ago, I think back in January. And basically, this allows creators or content creators to use NFT as a way to preserve their content. So, pretty good idea. So, it's like a Twitter, but on a decentralized platform. I believe that we are at the beginning. Yes, we are. I hope that gave you an idea about what's happening in the macro environment that may impact the our investments. So have a fantastic time. Remember to smash the like, smash it really hard, ring my bell, hit subscribe if you haven't, and share your thoughts and comments in the comment section. I will see you in the next video for Bitcoin weekly chart analysis on the daily. See ya.